Codega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his Codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with the Codega and sharing one of yours.
All right, good evening, everyone, and here we go. It's the Cold War. Missiles are pointed skyward. Spies are creeping through the alleys of Berlin, watching the skies for mushroom clouds. But underneath all that, there's another kind of war happening. This one's not about bombs or bullets. It's about the mind. And the battlefield, pretty much anywhere, because the weapon was consciousness. Hey there, curious travelers. I'm Rye, the Codega, your guide through the strange, the buried, and the bizarre. Welcome to the Codex. Tonight, we're cracking open a file that's been buried deep in the vaults of American intelligence, one stamped top secret, and stuffed with tales of psychic soldiers, classified experiments, and attempts to turn the human mind into a weapon. Yep. This is the true story of the Third Eye Spies. And joining me tonight, I've got a couple of guests, Brad from the Awaken podcast and Matt Emch from Planet 412. Welcome, guys, to Codega's Codex of Curiosities. This is going to be quite the episode. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good. I was just about to say I'm crappy too.
That was great. Hello to everybody in the chat as well.
Yeah, we got a full house in the chat, so I'm looking forward to this big time. And so, for those who don't, most of them are actually on Matt's channel right now because we're streaming to all three channels. We're streaming to my channel, Codega's, we're streaming to the Awaken, and we're streaming to Planet 412. But for those who don't know, why don't you guys give a shout out to who you are and your channels, please?
Sir?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. My name is Brad. I'm the host of the Awaken podcast. Do a lot of talk about energy, frequency, vibrations, paranormal, conspiracy, religion, spirituality, all of the above. So if you want to find me, you can find me at theawakenpodcast.com. All my links to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everything on there. So yeah, thank you for having me, buddy. I appreciate this. I'm excited to do this.
And as I fix my hat here, because it's always reversed when you're looking at the camera. Hello to everybody that are here from the 412 and from Codega's and Brad's channel. Just want to thank everybody from coming here. And, it is going to be an absolutely epic night, and we're really excited about everything.
That's a great intro. I like that. I like that. Okay, Matt, take it over. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into this. And what I'm going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to be telling you first, we're going to start off with this whole thing. What I'm talking about, these Cold War spies, these third eye spies, remote viewing, what it is and how it all began. Okay, so it's all going to be starting with like a new kind of arms race. So let's rewind. Let's take this back to the 1970s. Now, the Cold War, as I said, was in full swing. And the U.S. and the Soviet Union were locked within like this deadly embrace. And of course, there was espionage, paranoia, and always one-upmanship. It kind of seems reminiscent of what's going on now. But while many were watching for rocket launches and listening to nuclear warnings, behind closed doors, there was something far stranger that was unfolding. Now, reports started infiltrating into the CIA from defectors and intelligence officers that the Soviets were spending millions researching psychic phenomena, which was telepathy, mind control, psychokinesis, and even ESP for spying. Now, in any normal decade, that would have been tossed into the loony bin and filed under KGB tall tales. But this was the 70s. So this was like MK Ultra was still like echoing through the hallways. LSD had already made its way into the CIA briefings. And the line between science and sorcery was, let's just say, hazy at best. So what did the CIA do when they heard the Soviets might be using psychic spies? Well, they decided to get their own. Okay. And this is where it kind of all begins, which was the Stanford Research Institute. Have you guys ever heard of the Stanford Research Institute by chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So this was in
Jinx.
72. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
No, I just said jinx to Brad. My daughter would always do that.
So does mine. So does mine. Now, this was in 72, and the CIA reached out to a pair of physicists at the Stanford Research Institute, or SRI, in Menlo Park, California. Now, their names were Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff. These guys weren't like crystal ball wielding mystics. Targ worked with lasers and optics, and Puthoff had a background in quantum electronics. And in other words, they were like pretty serious scientists, pretty advanced scientists for that time as well. And yet these guys had an interest in something most of their colleagues wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, which was, so together, Targ and Puthoff launched what would become one of the most bizarre and controversial government programs in American history. One that's going to stretch for 20 years and cost millions, of course, in black budget dollars, something we won't talk about. Now, their mission was to test whether human beings could see distant locations, hidden objects, or secret installations using only their minds. And they called it, what do they call it?
Third Eye Spies?
Third Eye Spies? No, what in general would they call it? Would be remote viewing.
Oh, man, I was just going to say that. I'm like, it couldn't be that.
You guys know.
I thought you were trying to trick us. I'm like, is there something else I'm not aware of?
There's no trick questions in this
You're
one.
just being basic. I should have said it.
Exactly. Now, for those who don't know what remote viewing is, I'm going to clear the air, because some people might think it's one thing or another. So remote viewing isn't fortune telling. You're not telling the future. It's not meditation, and it's not guessing either. It's a structured technique where a person, which is going to be you guys, our audience here, and everyone else, the viewer attempts to describe or sketch a target that they've never seen based on minimal cues. Now, maybe they're just, I could provide a set of coordinates, or maybe even just a number. Now, the viewer closes their eyes, relaxes, and begins to describe shapes, colors, impressions, sometimes even emotions or movements that relate to this target. Now, sometimes, and this has actually happened, they hit shockingly close to the mark. There some of these stories that are going to come up
many times,
exactly, are just going to blow your mind. Now, we're talking about describing the inside of Soviet bunkers down to the furniture, which is outrageous. Now, or sketching out details of military bases halfway across the world without even leaving the room, which is, like I said, is crazy. But here's the kicker. These experiments were observed, recorded, and in some cases used in real intelligence operations. This wasn't a fringe cult. This was the CIA, which, could be a little bit of the cult as well. Now we're going to go into one last thing here before we jump into our first experiment, which I want everybody to be ready for. So the first wave that the CIA did they called this Project Scanate. Okay, so which was short for scan by coordinate. Okay, and it started quietly in 72, and it was funded by the CIA's Office of Technical Services. Now, that's the same department that once gave up, and I'm not kidding you, exploding cigars and surveillance cats. I'm not kidding. This is
rats.
Crazy.
I mean, rats. They did stuff with, and also bats in World War II. They were going to connect incendiary devices. Yeah.
They wanted them to.
I think they actually did release some of them as well.
I do believe so. Yeah. And because they knew the bats would go to roost into like the rafters of
the Japanese wooden homes. Yeah,
exactly. And And this is all real. You know, if anybody is not like believing this, look it up. Look up acoustic kitty. I kid you not. It's true.
Dolphins. They looked how to use dolphins. Yeah.
Yep. Now, so Targan Puthoff brought in psychically gifted individuals, these folks who claimed that they could see things far away. Now, and they ran tests, collected data, and according to the internal memos, they actually got results that, in their words, were too accurate to dismiss. Now, the project was renewed, then renamed, and over the next 2 decades, it would pass through a ton of of different code names. It was Gondola Wish, Grill Flame, Center Lane, Sunstreak, and then finally, what was the final name? Do you guys know the final name of this one?
Project Stargate. Well, that's what the recent one is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was called. Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it was. This is Project Stargate. Okay,
Nice.
so with all this information now, guys, before we move on to part 2, I want everybody just to, especially everybody in the audience here now, just to take a breath, because now I'm putting you guys to the test. So I've told you about what remote viewing is, and now I want all of you guys to try it for yourself. So, you're not going to need a psychic hotline. You don't need your crystals or your incense. All you need is your attention. And make sure you got a pen and piece of paper, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you all, and that when I'm taking you all, I mean the audience and Brad and Matt. I'd love for you guys to try this as well, okay? I'm going to give you a number, okay? This number represents a place that I've gone to already. I've taken pictures, taken a video, and I'm going to tell you at the end of all of this. So at the very end of this episode, we're going to release and give you guys all these places. So I want you guys to make sure you write it down on your piece of paper. Don't put it in the chat. Don't write down what you see, what you think you see, what you feel, what you hear in the chat. Okay. So now I'm just going to go here. So now I want your mission is just to relax, let your imagination drift, and record whatever comes to mind. Don't force it. Don't analyze. Just notice. Now, are you guys going to see shapes, colors, buildings, landscapes? Do you feel anything? Heat, cold, stillness, movement? Whatever it is, okay? If you get any type of feeling, jot it, doodle it, because like I said, we're going to revisit this at the end of the episode, what the actual target was. But until then, keep it secret, keep it safe, and most of all, keep it weird. All right, ready? So this, guys, is your first remote viewing target number. Okay, I'm just going to get something ready here. All right, so I'm going to put a little background music. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to, we'll say about 45 seconds here, just to focus in on this number. So your first remote viewing target number is 197231. Now focus on that number, close your eyes, and see what you see. Again, 197231. All right, everyone. Here we are. That's it. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to write down what you saw, what you think you saw, what you felt, everything that comes to you. Write it down, draw something, and I'm going to continue on with this show. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the first experiment. So, like I said, keep your notes close. Trust what came through, because in part 2 here, we get to meet the men who could see the unseen. And one of them may have already seen you. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. So now that you've dipped your toes in the water of remote viewing, we're gonna pull back the curtain a bit and meet the ones who didn't just dip. These ones dived headfirst into the psychic abyss. So these spies are like pretty much superpowered. Okay. Now forget James Bond. These were just ordinary men with extraordinary sight. They didn't use gadgets, no earpieces, no laser watches. They used their minds. So the first man, many people call the godfather of remote viewing, is Ingo Swann. Now, Brad and Matt, have you guys heard of Ingo Swann before?
I've heard the name, yes.
Yes.
Right.
Was he the one that
physicist.
actually go ahead? I'm sorry, Brad. I did
No,
it
you
to
good,
you
man.
again.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, was he the one that did it? He worked for the CIA and he actually did viewing for all the way like to Mars and other planets and stuff like that.
Close. You're very, very close. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah, he's
It pretty
probably
much is.
he was like the most successful one, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
They're it's hard to gauge success on these ones because they were all hitting it out of the ballpark. There are some. He is kind of like the first, and then there is like it's like saying, if you're talking hockey, it's like saying, oh, Gordie Howe was the greatest, was Mr. Hockey. Well, then what about Wayne Gretzky? And then what about these ones?
Oh, yeah.
They're all their greatness within each other. So let's go. We're going to take a closer look at this. At this psychic, the intelligence world ever reluctantly embraced, which is Ingo Swann. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a spy. He actually was an artist, a painter, a New York eccentric with flair for the mystical and a bookshelf filled with Jung, Blavatsky, and quantum theory, which is cool. But he had something else, a knack for perception that he didn't play, but he didn't play by the 5 cents rule book. Okay. So now, he was born in Colorado, in Telluride, Colorado. He actually claimed himself to be a self-proclaimed clairvoyant as a child. He often speaking about energy fields, mental images, and strange dreams that turned out to be true. He later on in his life, he studied art and psychology, and which honestly, in all honesty, it actually feels like it's the perfect cocktail for someone about to stare into the multiverse, with psychology and art. You can put those two together. Now, fast forward to the early 70s when entered the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, where physicists Hal Puthoff and Rush Targ were hunting for legit psychic talent for a contract funded quietly, of course, like I said, by the CIA. So Ingo showed up, and within minutes of testing, they knew that they found their man for the job. Now, one of Ingo's first tests was to influence a magnetometer. Now, if you guys know what that is a super sensitive, shielded scientific instrument. And it's key to know that it's shielded. So, which by all accounts, no human should be able to affect with their thoughts. But he not only affected this magnetometer, the device like freaked out. The signal spiked wildly in response to his focused intent. And even the skeptic scientists had to admit that this wasn't some spoon bending party trick. This is so much more. Okay. So it was measurable and it was repeatable. That's the key thing. If you can measure something and repeat it, you got something. So now it was enough to land Ingo in a deeper CIA funded program almost immediately. Next thing, his true legend was born during, and this is kind of similar to what you were saying, Matt, was his remote viewing session of Jupiter. So this was in 1973, and he was asked to describe what he saw around the planet. Now, Ingo, he spoke in a calm, like really collected, matter of fact voice. And he said, I see crystals, bands of colored gases, an atmosphere charged with energy, and a ring. Now, it's important to note that we all knew that Saturn had the Saturn rings, right? But Jupiter at that time, we didn't know. We didn't know Jupiter had a ring. And so this was 6 years before Voyager 1 could actually confirm that Jupiter, like Saturn, had a ring system. So that was pretty stellar. So, and he also mentioned magnetic storms, unusual auroras, and even described ammonia crystals in the atmosphere. Again, this was confirmed years later. So, like, here's the question: was he time traveling with his mind, or was he actually tuning in to the tuning into that? What do you guys think? Do you actually think he was time traveling so he could see in the future, or was he actually seeing it from that point of view, like from right then and there, seeing it then? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I always kind of thought that I think he was dipping into the astral plane, that, he was, able to have these such strong out of body experiences that he took his mind and his essence, or even his, if you want to look at it like his spirit, into another plane, which you could call the astral plane, which you bring your complete mind, everything except your body to, and you're able to travel to basically anywhere, is what they say. Yeah. So that's where I always viewed that as.
Brad? I view it as obviously I'm going to give him probably a complex answer to this, but the collective consciousness, the quantum field, the neural network, the giant brain that we're in a giant brain. We're in that neural network, and just like a brain, a signal can be sent very quickly, almost immediately. So I think what happens is we kind of, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Osmosis Jones, where
yes.
I think it was Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, yeah,
breaks down and travels through the body. That's kind of what I think happens. We can quickly connect to the different parts of the neural network, the different nodes, and we can see from that point of view for whatever. So you're almost like attaching to some sort of an entity, whether that be a pig or a gnat or whatever it is in the atmosphere that you can attach yourself to. And I think that's what happens is we kind of are connected by this neural network of, just nerves and cells and different things like that. We're in a big brain, and then that brain's in a big brain, and that, and so on and so on. It goes in infinitely. So
interesting.
I like that. That is that's a one possibility for sure. We got to be open to just about everything, because in the end, we don't truly know. So we all have to, I think it's important to take in every answer and then dissect it yourself. So I can appreciate that for sure. Now, let's get back to Swan here. So Swan just didn't remote view. He actually he created the entire methodology. Now, he helped develop the first official remote viewing protocols for the Stargate program, the structured military grade process that made psychic spying a repeatable, teachable skill. Now, this included, of course, the use of coordinate-based viewing, session blinding. So even the monitor didn't even know the target. So it's interesting because they would actually blindfold them. Now, data separation between imagination and intuition. Now, Swan was like a psychic samurai, always sharpening his blade and turning vague sensations into detailed intelligence. Now, let's get weird now, because Ingo didn't stop with government sanctioned targets. He later claimed to have remote viewed the dark side of the moon, which I think interests so many of us. And guess what? He saw structures, building, machinery, and he actually saw beings. Now, he described these humanoids like as tall, and he said that there was dome-like installations and mining operations. So when he locked eyes with one of those beings, he actually abruptly stopped the session, because it was as if they saw him too. Now, in his private notes, he actually wrote, it was like catching someone in the act of something they didn't want you to see. I wasn't looking at them. they were looking at me. And then there's the Mars session in 84 where he reported, and this is what you were talking about, Matt, reported viewed ancient Martian ruins with tall beings in stasis waiting for something. So the transcript, oddly enough, is available from a CIA FOIA dump. So that's where they got this. So, which is mind blowing, that
It
there's
is.
these creatures. And from what I understand is that he remote viewed this millions of years in the past. So really, really fascinating stuff. Okay, so now we're going to move on from Ingo Swann, and we are moving on to might be my favorite, Pat Price. Have you guys heard of Pat Price before?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay,
I have not.
Now, no, okay. So this guy was like, he brought in he was kind of like the X-Files energy to this real world espionage, kind of like your Mulder-esque kind of person. Now, he used to actually be a former, and this, it's all about like this credibility. So he used to be a former police commissioner, and get this, he was a devout Scientologist. And so he could have been possibly one of the most terrifyingly accurate remote viewers in the history of U.S. intelligence. Now, he didn't even just describe places. He read files behind false panels. He drew maps of any enemy installations, and sometimes he told the CIA things they weren't sure anyone should actually even know. So he was remote viewing some of the actual CIA installations, like Black Ops places as well. Now, Pat was no military man. He was no scientist. He was just a small town police commissioner in Burbank, California, who got involved in psychic research via Scientology, and specifically its OT levels, where remote perception is part of the spiritual curriculum, which is interesting, that they're bringing that in. Do you guys know anything about Scientology at all?
I mean, I would say the basics of it. I definitely have never had the, want to learn the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
I used to live in Tampa, Florida, which is near Clearwater, which is where the Scientology headquarters is located. So, but no, I don't know anything about it.
You know what? It's funny you
Like, I
say
live there.
that, because we vacation down in that area, in the St. Pete area, Indian Shores, Indian Rocks area, and I've never known that at all. So, and again, I wouldn't have looked into it even if I knew. So, no offense to anybody out there. I don't want to offend anybody. It's just not my deal. So,
yeah, no, fair enough. I think Scientology is something that needs to be looked into a little bit, though. Nonetheless, so it was actually Ingo Swann who told them, he told Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff that they should really go check out Pat. And so, of course, what did they do? They brought him in, and wholly classified intel, were they in for a shock. Now, one of Pat's first big tests was to physically locate a top secret Soviet military site. Now, they would just empty coordinates number. That's all. They just give him these empty coordinates, and that was it. So he sat down and he tuned in, and he started to see this large crane, these strange circular buildings, underground tunnels, and then what he called beam weapon technology being worked on. So he even sketched the crane in remarkable detail. Now, months later, with satellite imagery, they were able to confirm right down to the design of the crane that he drew. The site was in, and I'm going to butcher this, was in semi-palentistic USSR, a location that was so secret, even some folks in the CIA didn't even know about it yet. And now this is where it even crazier, his ability. So in one session, he was told to describe the interior of the foreign embassy. It was rumored to be KGB controlled, of course. So he focused in. He said, "There's a file room behind a panel in the wall," and he even describes how it opened. He actually showed him how this panel opened. And so he actually said the documents are coded, but they're there in the top left corner of this room. So years later, an informant confirmed, yes, this panel existed. Yes, it opened exactly the way he described. And yes, the files were there. So
that's nuts.
Right? Like, so when people deny that this, and there is a lot of deniers of the remote viewing, it's crazy that they deny this, but there's so many, and I'm going to guess that there's a lot of failures too. I didn't actually bring up any of the failures in this one. I never looked into it, but there's going to be failures. But when you have these so spot on hits, it's hard to say to throw this out now. So, and of course, then at this point, the officials just weren't just impressed; they were straight up freaked out. Even one of them said off the record that if the Soviets have a Pat Price like we did, we're in trouble. Okay, because he was that good. Now, this is, and if you thought that was crazy, now this is where things start to get good or chilling, I guess you could say. So he remote viewed American black projects, so secret U.S. facilities he wasn't even clear to know about. So he mentioned, oh, sorry, one second, my dog just hit my camera again. So I'm just going to fix that here. There we go. So he mentioned locations, name, technology, even the psychic monitoring programs the CIA itself was running. So they're monitoring psychics as well, and he figured this out. So he was looking everywhere, not just where they told him to look. So it wasn't like, hey, you need to go look at this. He went and did it himself. And then in 1975, he died suddenly of a stroke while visiting Las Vegas. So the circumstances were odd. There were some insiders that whispered he had been, he was negotiating to work with other intelligence agencies, maybe like a double spy. And some people had said that he's seen too much. So there is even this conspiracy theory, which I believe, that he didn't die of natural causes at all, that someone wanted his abilities, like they wanted him dead.
Yeah.
One ex-CIA officer later said that if there are top 5 of the most unnerving psychics we've ever worked with, Pat Price is on that list and most likely the top. So what do you guys think? Do you think he was offed on purpose? Do you think he actually died of a heart attack, or what do you think?
No, I think they all, anytime they need to be clear some that, just like with the Maui fires and stuff like that, they probably got weapons that we don't even know about, frequency weapons and all kind of stuff that they can just click a button and make you go crazy and make you jump off of buildings and explode your heart and all kind of stuff.
Exactly. And there is the heart attack gun. There literally is a heart attack gun with a needle. I think it's actually an ice needle that like melts away, so you can't even tell that this person was injected. So which is crazy.
And I've heard of that. Some people call it the ice bullet or whatever, but that's crazy. And have you guys heard of, we're getting into government. I think he was offed by the government as well. You remember a real famous name in Paul Benowitz, who was the gentleman who was doing work for the government. They happened to be working on an area at Dulce, and they came through by accident. And he's the one guy that went down on the elevator thing, and they saw aliens. And he was actually hit by an energy beam. And one gentleman that was protecting him, I think it was an MP, actually gave his life saving him. Now he went out, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat know who I'm talking about. He went for years to huge conventions. You look on YouTube, you find his name, Paul, and it's spelled Bennewitz. The guy spoke a tons of things. He went and he gave his mother this real chilling message he left to her. Mom, if I ever disappear, I just want you to know that they killed me.
Jeez.
He died very strange. They found him. He was like tied up with medical tubing, and he was dead for days before they found him, and poisoned. He had a heart attack, so he might have been even given that same drug that they killed him. Very famous person that was involved with the government that was offed, obviously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
can I add one thing to what I was saying earlier about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
neural network, kind of like the
Oh, Phil
mycelium?
Snyder. I'm sorry, Brad. I
You good?
apologize.
That's all right.
His name. Thank you for correcting me, Ona. Now I look like an idiot for getting the name wrong.
That's all right. That's all right.
Whatever. Who cares? It's not the first time I did it, and not the last.
Well, I mean, Matt's got his phone in his hand right now, right? I mean, when we make a phone call, where does it go? Does anybody know?
Goes. Yep.
Right.
It's
It goes
frequencies. We
through the
don't see
ether,
it,
through
but it's there.
frequency. Yeah, we can't see it, but it's there. And quickly too. I mean, I can call Matt or you right now and you guys would pick up. That's
Right.
how fast our minds can work, our consciousness can work when I'm in this office right now with a camera and a bunch of lights at me and a computer and a bunch of things going off and, you know, all this electromagnetic energy, and the signal's not clear. But when you get that signal clear, I think you can probably tap into some crazy things I mean, I've done it before. You and I talked about this some recent episode we did called Ancient America, where you know, I tried to, when Gabby Petito went missing for, you know, a few years ago, I was really into like Wim Hof, and I was looking at Wim Hof breathing and all this stuff. I'd never meditated before or anything like that. And I tried to do my Wim Hof breath work, and it was kind of like a meditation type session, and my body started vibrating. I had a mask on and everything. So while I was in that state, I figured, let me go ahead and try to see if I can find where Gabby Petito is. And it was just like this weird image came up in my mind of, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a translucent edging or something like that. It was kind of vibrating a little bit, and I can see her, and she was laying face down, and she had a pair of khaki shorts on, and she had a white, you know, like a tennis player shirt with the sleeves cut off. Like it's a white shirt with a collar and blonde hair. And I can see the setting she was laying in. Now, I haven't seen the pictures, the autopsy, you know, whatever, the autopsy photo or the crime scene photos. But I'm assuming that it was in the same region, or, you know, in my mind, what I could see was like rocks and kind of almost like she was in some kind of a canyon type of area with rocks around her. So I don't know if it felt like it was real, but I don't know if it was real.
Yeah,
it was different. It was a distinct image almost immediately in my mind of where she is or where she was or whatever. So, and that was before they announced her as, you know, having been deceased. So
interesting. Yeah, exactly. We tie into these frequencies, and it's kind of like logging into them or tying into them. I think we all have the ability, and, you know, and soon we'll be coming up to the second experiment, and I, you know, hope you guys do that again. So so I'm going to move on to the last person that I'm going to be talking about here, which was Joe McMoneagle. Now, of course, you know, I've dived into Ingo Swann and then Pat Price. Now, Joseph McMoneagle, he was a decorated U.S. Army intelligence officer who became one of the most reliable and longest serving remote viewers in the CIA's secret spy unit, Project Stargate. Now, he just wasn't some new age wanderer. He was a highly decorated combat veteran. Over 20 years of military service. He had Bronze Star, Legion of Merit. So he was kind of your no nonsense kind of guy, but he wasn't, I don't know, he wasn't your type that you would expect to be meditating in a dark room, scanning his mind for visions of Soviet bunkers. But after an NDE, Matt, NDE, near-death experience during a medical emergency in Germany, he claimed something changed in him. He started to perceive things differently, more intuitively. It was like the world started whispering in a frequency to him that he finally tuned into. Kind of what you're talking about there, Prab. Now, that caught the attention of the folks at Fort Meade, who were recruiting for the CIA's newly expanded remote viewing unit. Now, Joe signed on, and he quickly became known as Remote Viewer 001. Now, he wasn't flashy. He didn't claim to see aliens or ancient civilizations, though he did remote view Mars once. More on, I'll get to that more later here, but he stuck to targets that were military, strategic, sometimes life and death. And guess what? He produced results. And now in one mission, he was asked to describe a new Soviet submarine that was under construction. This is one that stuck with me because I still remember this to this day. I remember hearing about this. Now, he sat down and he went into like this trance-like state, and he started sketching. He started drawing. He started drawing this unusual shape, something much different than your typical subs that we see. The nose of it was much narrower, and they said he also drew that it had like these vertical stabilizers, and also he drew it in a massive dry dock complex. Now, when the Soviets eventually launched the Typhoon class submarine, the U.S. officials were blown away because not at just the sub's size, but how accurately that Joe had described it months before anyone had the satellite photos to prove this. So now there was like a lot of people that were like, yeah, this guy's for real. He's not guessing. He's actually seeing this. So now we're going to go to now, he was also used in real-time battlefield scenarios. Now, one report describes him locating a missing U.S. general who was believed to be captured. He gave coordinates that led search teams extremely close, within miles. Okay, so not like pinpointed, but within miles to where he was being held. Another time, he also sketched a top secret installation in East Germany, down to the exact floor plan and the type of equipment inside. And after some surveillance, they confirmed that this guy was legit, like the accuracy of this drawings. Now he wasn't even just used against enemies. He was actually, the CIA was using him to spy on other U.S. black sites, just to test if he could. Okay. And of course, guess what? He could. Now we're going to go to Mars again, because Mars seems like always comes up. Now, one day here, he was given a sealed envelope, and he was told just not to open it and just relax and describe whatever he saw based on the coordinates inside. So he did. And what he described was shocking. And here we go. Some very similar things. He described tall, thin beings, gigantic pyramids, a dying atmosphere, panic, evacuation, a civilization in decline on Mars. And all this, and this is kind of similar to what Pat Price, was it Pat Price or Ingo Swann? Ingo Swann. All of this thousands of years in the past. And only after did they tell him the coordinates were on Mars, dated 1 million years ago. So crazy. Now, what do you think? Was it a prank? Was it a test? Or I don't know. We'll never know. But one thing is for sure is that Joe, he never really flinched with any of these things. He just reported exactly what he saw. You give him these coordinates or you give him something, and he was just like, this is what I saw. So, and unlike other remote viewers, Joe, he never went off the rails. He never made any wild claims. He never had delusions of grandeur. He just stayed grounded, calm, and crystal clear. Maybe that's why he continued to be their longest running spy, because he just did what they told. Even after he retired, he continued to work in the psychic field, testing his skills under controlled conditions. And even on live TV, he nailed one target in Japan that it like freaked everybody out. So Joe was, he was trained in war, trusted with secrets, and tasked with peering through space, time, and silence using only his mind. So he proved again and again that knowledge doesn't always need to come from our satellites or from spies. Sometimes it can come from within. Okay, so that's going to lead us into our remote viewing experiment number 2. And this is Brad. I'm going to give this over to Brad. So Brad is going to have his. And Brad, I'll let you take the reins here, okay?
Okay, so first target is, I guess do you want me to just say close your eyes and just saying that you just
Yeah. If you want to, I could prep it for you if you want, or if you're good to do it, that's fine.
No, so target number one, I'm just going to I'm not going to call it target number one. I'm going to call it target 195840. So close your eyes, listen to the number 195840, and focus on that number.
195840.
195840.
All right.
I love the crickets. That makes me laugh.
I know. I was like
It's
trying to get
almost
some
like
ambient. I was trying to get some ambient music, but the crickets just seem to work well.
it's the first, and I it is relaxing. It's just the first time it made me laugh, because usually it's when somebody's like, their mind is empty.
Exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
I have to bring this up because I want to at least explain, because I made such a dumb gaffe earlier. That guy that I mentioned, so I Googled, just what happened real quick. Never go with the first like explanation, because it gave me like, 5 different people that were supposedly killed by the government. The second one was the guy I was looking for, but Paul Benowitz, actually, according to some, Benowitz was targeted by a government disinformation campaign that ultimately led to his psychiatric hospitalization and death. So that guy, when I put it in Google, like should have been more specific, but my guy was down a little. Don't ever go with the first explanation. But at least there was another guy right there. I actually remember seeing a video about that guy too. But it starts to, you start to get these lists. And then right after the next guy, there was like 3 to 5 more people, which is scary. You look at that, it's just like, if people only realize probably how many people the government gets rid of, that they just, we don't need them making any noise. You know what I mean? It's really,
Exactly.
I hope they don't come knocking on my door someday.
It's
Mister,
really unnerving.
You
So
talk way too much about this shit. Bye.
Can I ask you guys a question? If you guys had the ability to just do this anytime you wanted, to just remote view, would you work or want to be part of some kind of SRI or government institution or anything like that?
I would.
I don't think I could do it.
It depends. If there was something that in the end, that if, like, I slipped and my family would be in danger of
Yeah.
something, then I wouldn't. But if it was something where, like, I knew my family would be safe, and as long as I didn't go like, singing on the news about it or something, I really would. I I'm not going to get into something. I'm just saying, I've
Mhm.
already gotten pretty deep on what happened to me when I was 14, and I've learned more as the years have gone by. And I would like to keep going. I would. So if somebody offered me, hey, man, you want to go deep? Come on with me. I would. I really would.
I'm afraid I would get blackpilled almost. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to know
I
all
mean,
the
I would.
secrets, dude.
True.
You know?
It's a little scary, when you think about it. It's like, but this, okay, imagine this. Okay, you get to know all the secrets, but you can't tell anyone.
Yeah, this gotta be worse.
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah, it
dude.
would be hard, but I
It would
could
be.
do it. I
It
really
would be.
could.
But it would be really cool to be like, oh, we need you. You're like Batman, right? You're like the world needs you right now to come. It would be cool to
Come
feel
and
that
get
way,
me,
I guess.
baby. If you're listening right now, guys, like quietly, I'm ready, baby. I'm
I,
doing that. And
like,
Yvonne,
yeah,
yes, I see that, Yvonne Marshall. Especially about Yvonne said she's seen a lot of Men in Black things on the channels. You go back to like the Mothman, and they were really out there during the time that, the bridge went down and the Mothman was seen a lot during that time. And they were keeping people quiet and getting rid of evidence and stuff like that. So they're definitely real. People have said that they have seen these incredible people, like police officers and things like that, have seen
yeah,
these Men in Black, which they're not, here we are the men, and it's nothing like that, but they're just, real general, black suits, white tie, Mr. Smith, stuff like that. I mean, that stuff
yeah,
is real.
yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. And like, I know I'm just going back to that. If I could ensure the safety of my family and friends, like 100% no take backsies or any of that,
Right, right. Which,
I I I might, even though it's kind of like sleeping with the enemy almost in a way. You're getting
oh,
in
for
bed with the
sure.
people, yeah, but it's like you get to know everything. Oh, I
Hmm.
don't know. It's
I couldn't say no, man.
I'm
I've
not saying
already
I would.
gone
I'm
deep,
not
man.
saying no, but I'm not saying yes either. I'm gonna leave it at that. Leave it up in the air. It could be. It might
Now,
not be. Yeah.
dude, if they said, go fight demons, go fight, devils and demons and all this other stuff, then and they'd have to show me proof, and then I might be like, okay,
Right.
let's do this. You
Well,
know what I mean? Like,
and this is where I am. And again, I know what me and my buddies saw. So like I've already had the one shattered, veil dropped and broken in front of me and my buddy. So man, I already know certain crazy stuff's out there. So keep it coming, man. I'd love to know more. I really would. And if they're like, hey Matt, we know you can't move too quick, so we have these things we can put on, because you see they have these military things they're starting to give the people, like that gives them strength and speed. They're
Mhm.
like, these exoskeletons.
Yep.
Throw that stuff on my leg, man. I'm there, man. But let him go, man. Let him roll.
Okay. Let's move on
Sorry,
here.
brother.
No. This is great. I love this conversation. So, okay, we're gonna go into my part 3: skeptics and the science. So, you know, of course, let's be honest. The idea that someone can sit in a room, close their eyes, and describe a classified Soviet facility on the other side of the planet, man, it does sound insane. It really does. And of course, many of people have thought that. So enter the skeptics. One of the most vocal groups was PSYCOP, the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal. Yeah, I know. It sounds like the name of like some sort of Scooby-Doo villain faction or something like that. But okay, my dog is hitting my camera again. Give me 1 second here. So I was on a roll, and she seems to
Hey,
lie
we're dog
underneath.
lovers here. We got a little one that I keep out of here. I close the door so she can't get in here. So
I don't mind that she comes in here, but she always seems to stretch out and hit the camera. So not a big deal. Okay. So okay, now back to PSYCOP. Now, these were hard-nosed scientists, magicians, and professional debunkers who called out pseudoscience whenever it like peeked its little head up, they're calling it out. Now, they tore into remote viewing, claiming the results were inconsistent, poorly controlled, and of course riddled with confirmation bias. And to be fair, of course, like I was saying earlier, like of course there was probably some mistakes. Some experiments were messy. There were misses, there were vague hits, and sessions that sounded more like I don't know, like creative writing exercises than actual intel reports. So what happened? So in 95, after 2 decades of mixed results, the CIA conducted a formal review of Project Stargate, and the outcome, guess what? They shut it down. I don't know. So they officially said the program, then known as Project Stargate, provided no actionable intelligence of significant value. It was, in their view, not worth the cost of the controversy. But here's the twist. Many of the insiders, so like the viewers themselves, the scientists who ran the protocols, they all disagreed. And they disagreed strongly. They claimed that the review was politically motivated, rushed, and deeply flawed. We hear that a lot now. They said that the final report just cherry picked specific data, ignored successes, and dismissed breakthroughs because it just didn't fit the actual mold. And Joe McMoneagle even said they shut it down not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. And that made them uncomfortable. And did they really shut it down? That's always something to question. Now, so of course, what's the truth? Did the CIA really spend 20 years on craziness, nonsense, or did they just simply reclassify it and move it even deeper into their black vault? I think so. Because, let's not forget the US only started this program because Soviet psychics were getting results, and at least someone believed they were. And hey, if you had a tool that could see secrets without satellites, would you guys admit it that you would still have it? Like, I personally would keep that quiet. What about you guys?
I feel like they would know if you had some sort of ability. I think I would feel like somebody would know something. I mean, another person, having these abilities might be able to tap in and go, oh, he knows something. Let's go talk to him about something. You know what I mean?
I agree totally. Yeah. So
I agree with him as well.
Yeah. The official story ends in 95, but the next part will ask what came after. Did remote viewing really die, or did it evolve, like leaking into corporations, civilian programs, and maybe even into your own home? But first, guess what, guys? It's time for our third and final experiment. Are you guys ready to spy with your third little eye? That was terrible. I know.
I got a scar on my forehead when I hit my head when I was like 2 years old, and it's been like that. So every time I think of Third Eye Spies, I got it looks like a little eyeball right in the center of my head. You ever seen
Are you gonna Doctor Strange us and have that eye open up there?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. That's interesting. That's kind of cool. Okay.
That'd be wild.
I agree.
Go
So
ahead,
Matt,
man.
this is it's all to you. The ball is in your court. Take it away, and whatever, if you have a number or whatever, I'll just shut up now.
All right, everybody. So I want you guys to do what we've been doing here. Start to slowly just relax. Rye, you could play the crickets again if get everybody in the way, and don't think of it as I can't think of anything. Relax, chill. Start to just think of whatever takes you there, and use these numbers, guys. So 41, 10, 51, 80, 45, 58. And take those and just think about those numbers, stare at them, imagine whatever could be connected to those numbers, and just take your mind there and relax. And that's it. That's as far as I need to go with that.
All right. Let's reel it back in. Okay, everyone. That was your third and final target. I got to talk about a little bit more about where things went, and then we're going to do the big reveal. So we will see what you guys come up with. And yeah, let's move on. Okay. So what happened after the CIA pulled the plug? Did remote viewing really die in 95? Or, of course, was it buried deeper? Where did it go? Now, let's talk about Hal Puthoff. Of course, he was the laser physicist, Stanford researcher, and key architect behind the early remote viewing program. Now, after Stargate's alleged shutdown, Hal didn't disappear. He changed. He evolved. He shifted his gaze from psychic spies to something even more out there: UFOs and exotic propulsion systems. Now, Puthoff became a central figure in the search for recovered alien tech, reverse engineering the impossible. He founded Earth Tech International, exploring zero-point energy and actually warp drives. It does sound like sci-fi, and of course, that's what they want you to think. But now the plot thickens. So in 2017, a new group emerged from the shadows. Perhaps some of you guys might have heard of this. I'm going to ask you guys, have you heard of To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science? Have you guys ever heard of that?
I have. Don't they give out like scholarships to kids for that and things?
They might.
I think they do. Go ahead, Brad.
No, I was gonna say I think this is a propaganda arm of the government to get out disclosure, but it's with Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 and all these former government officials and stuff like that. All of a sudden they got the best interest for everybody, and they want to tell everybody about everything.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, former Blink 182 Tom DeLonge, he fronted it, and he was backed by, like you said, former government insiders, including Hal Puthoff. Now, the TTSA made waves when they helped leak those infamous UFO Navy videos. So perhaps, like, were they given these? Was it done on purpose? And those are the Tic Tac, the Gimbal, and the Go Fast. Those are like the most famous ones, of course. Now, the connection, some of the same minds from the Project Stargate program were now knee deep in UFO research, or UAP, whatever you want to use. In fact, many people believe that remote viewing was just one piece of a much larger puzzle involving non-human intelligence, consciousness, and interdimensional contact. That's something I've talked about many times, about how all these things like the cryptids, the UFOs, the paranormal, it's all from one bigger puzzle. We're just getting all these pieces now. So where did this rabbit hole lead them from this? And of course, you guessed it. This is crazy. A cursed patch of Utah dirt where UFOs, cryptids, portals, and poltergeists all decided to have a reunion party. Where is that one at? Do you know what it is?
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep, exactly.
I better know that one.
Yeah, exactly. So several of those researchers from Stargate and later TTSA became involved in programs exploring the strange land funded under AAWSAP and AATIP, Pentagon initiatives for studying anomalous phenomena. So when you said like they're still kind of connected to all of this government thing as well there, Brad, I totally believe this. So now, Skinwalker Ranch, of course, everybody knows this. It's kind of like this living lab where consciousness, tech, and paranormal and everything just kind of collides. It's this, I don't know, hodgepodge of everything. Now, of course, and we've done episodes on Skinwalker Ranch a little bit, so that's
you and I together have.
Yep, that's a whole episode. As we said, it's just on its own now. So here's the big question. If the US government truly believed that psychic abilities had no merit, why did many of these scientists and intelligence operatives continue their work in secret for decades? Now, was Stargate shut down, or was it simply renamed?
I was just going to say, no, they renamed it and made it much more black in the shadows and kept it more hush hush.
Exactly. So did remote viewing fade into obscurity or evolve into something far more advanced, hiding under the banner of national security and non-terrestrial threats? Yeah. So,
Well, I think when you hear the word non-human intelligence, that's the word that a lot of like these government organizations use. That's what most people like. I had a lady named Karen Alexander on my show. She has a company called Temporary Temples. It's all about crop circles in the UK, and that's what she calls them, as well as non-human intelligence. And essentially, that's what I talk about too. That's plasma. That plasma is the non-linearity, supercomputer that is out there, and it's all around us all the time. And when these things come in, they come in through these X points, which are basically plasma portals, right? These points on Earth where energies converge and they kind of create this geodynamo. And so whenever somebody's looking up, doing FOIA requests, you really have to know these names, right? You have to know the names of all this stuff that's going on. You have to know skinwalkers, you have to know fast walkers, you have to know non-human intelligence, you have to know UFOs and UAPs, and they keep changing the language, they keep changing the names, because that's exactly why. Once people catch on to it, they don't want people to know anything about it, so they'll have a new name for it. And so these names continue to evolve throughout time, throughout history. Who knows what the hell the names are now? But that's the game that the government plays. Is that's how they hide it from you. They do so with emails, for example. They all use pseudonyms and they all use private email servers, as we saw with Hillary Clinton and a whole bunch of others. That's what they do. They have pseudonyms and you'll never find it. So when you do a search for Hillary Clinton at secretarystate.gov, whatever the heck it is, that you're not going to get that. You got to find whatever her pseudonym is. And so basically they keep moving the ball. They keep moving the goalpost and changing the names for that very reason. So the names that we hear on TV and with Hal Puthoff and this Project to the Stars or whatever, Academy to the Stars, all that stuff is old language. They're just like
true. It's kind of
30,
like
40 years in advance.
It's like a distraction as well. Like, look over here. While there is this, it's kind of maybe like the cheese that they throw out to us, and the real Project Stargate is still happening over here, but they want your focus attention here. And like in the end, was this? Could it be like this just wasn't about spies or secrets, but more about unlocking the latent power inside of us all? That could be it.
Yeah.
Now,
well, I'm a firm believer. I am really big on seeing some of these whistleblowers out there, and the more that time goes by, the more credible ones that we're starting to see. And I always, if you are a regular on Planet 412, when Rye, you're a regular on here, I always throw out this one name first and foremost, Paul Hellyer, who was the Canadian Minister of Defense for years for Canada. The guy ended his career, with honor, and he's one of the most, loud people out there in the world talking about all the high strangeness that goes on, that our biggest powers in the world have not only known about, UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them. I'm older, so it's UFOs for me. I'm never changing that. But, all about different kinds of beings and everything. Like, he drops the bombs regularly. And, the guy, is one of the most trustworthy people out there, and he's not afraid and was not afraid. He was in front of the United Nations and spoke about it. And this I always bring up when I talk about him, because it always reminds me, Ronald Reagan gave one of the most famous speeches in front of the United Nations, where he dropped one of the biggest bombs ever, where he said, I forget exactly how it goes. I'm sure some of you guys in the chat know. It's on YouTube. He was saying, wouldn't it be amazing if, the world would come together, and, it would be something if we were attacked by an alien force, and how quick we would see that we would come together. And I'm destroying it. But he basically said, if we were invaded by aliens, we would come together, and there would be just the human race versus them. And then he drops the bomb of, but I tell you now, haven't they been here already? And it was always swept under the rug. It blew my mind that one of the, biggest and well, voted into American history presidents dropped, a huge bomb and told everybody in the world in front of the United Nations that, guys, there are aliens. They're here. They've been here.
Yep.
I'm telling you. And nobody ever talked about it. It just blew my mind. And like, I'm getting flustered right now, like telling you guys, because I just can't believe when you watch the video, it just is like, how did this?
Then again, though, Matt, is it just a distraction? Is that just us to take us a distraction onto something else? Like, don't get me wrong. I do believe that
it was on its way out, though.
Yeah. Okay. It was kind of like leaving this here.
Yeah.
Interesting. It is extremely interesting. And well, I'm just to wrap this up, this was the journey of the Third Eye Spies. So I hope everybody enjoyed it, so I hope everybody had a good show. But before we shut this down, of course, there's one last thing to do, and that is to reveal the remote viewing targets. And just
can I ask you something, Rye, real quick?
Please go ahead.
And I should have asked you this before we started. Now, when I gave everybody these numbers, if we, I know we're not supposed to give too much information. Did you want us to reveal anything, like any small?
Just the numbers. Nope.
Okay, then I did it right, baby. I don't have to do anything else.
Just the numbers. Yeah.
Okay, then we're good.
All right. So, okay. So it's time to reveal, of course, the remote viewing targets, and just to see how close everyone came to seeing what it was using your mind alone. And of course, reality isn't always what it seems. Sometimes you actually just have to close your eyes to see the truth. All right. So let's go to the experiment 1. And this was dubbed 197231. Okay. So you sat with this mystery image. Maybe you guys saw colors, shapes, temperature, feeling, movement, anything. So let's see how close you got it. So I want everybody to go back to that one and begin frantically writing what you saw in the comments. So everybody, what you saw, write, even if it's just, you don't have to write out a whole thing, just write something that you saw in the comments. Okay, so I can see Ron saying he saw a modern high-speed train. Interesting. Okay, what else do we see? What else is there? Okay. And Brad and Matt, by all means. So Ocular, she said so Mouse, you saw 35. Okay. A train car. Interesting. Okay. A field with the forest on the other side of the field. I'm standing under a big tree. It's cool and comfy. Smells fresh. Okay.
I'm going to say what I saw. I saw basically a store in a area of, I don't know, I pictured like around where you live in Mexico, a small store,
okay,
a shop that you frequent. That's what popped into my head.
Okay. Brad?
It's weird, but I can't tell what the background really was, but I saw a guy holding up some kind of a circular thing, like a melon or something along those lines.
Shit, you gave me shivers. You gave
Really?
me shivers, Brad. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to present something here. All right. Share screen, window, media player. To share to share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Okay, I got to share my whole. I got to share my entire screen because I have this.
There was an angle too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I created the never-ending loop. If you guess never-ending loop, you win. No. Okay, everyone. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. This is the target. Okay, so I'm going to play this.
I saw the blue sky.
This is the target location. Can you guys hear me talking?
Yeah.
You can see spire.
Dude, I saw a blue sky behind it and everything.
Is a angel. You saw a guy holding up.
I saw that, dude.
All right.
Oh, well, it was a guy though. It was like a.
It is a guy.
Being.
Okay, but it's and there is a sphere up here too, a round object. So this is an angel holding up, and don't discount yourself. For those people who might have guessed other things, it doesn't mean that this is specific. It could mean surrounding areas, and I'm going to get to that here right away. Here we go again.
I'm gonna
keyhole type entrance. Yep.
I'm gonna post in the comments what I wrote when we did this experiment.
An angel holding a baby. A couple birds, pelicans up there, a sphere as well. Angel wings here at the bottom. This entrance is like a keyhole. Okay, there's surrounded by lights. On the ocean.
That's fucking crazy.
And I wanted to say what I was seeing.
Go ahead. Hang on. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let me finish this, and then please, by all means, because there's more to this. Because some people said a high-speed train, okay? And this is something I did not include, but I'm going to talk about that. So there we can see this angel, okay? So right next to a major thoroughfare. Right here is a brand new train stop, okay? So this is kind of, it's like a train, but it's also a bus. It's a mix between a train and bus. It is not up and fully running yet. This is the end stop to it, and I never actually talked about it. For those who saw, I know you might have said a high-speed train. Congratulate yourself, because there is a train station here that's just not in going yet. Like, it's not up and running yet.
Are there any stores near there across the street or something?
No. Well, there is an OXXO, actually. There is a like a 7-Eleven, you could say. Yeah. Okay, so we got here. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit further. My camera started messing up from the heat, actually. So if anybody guessed hot or in heat, well, you're good with that. Or actually, no, there is no 7-Eleven nearby. There is no stores in this one. The store is way over here. Okay, but so there's this heavy traffic, and it's okay if you guys got it wrong. I'm gonna guarantee I got some things wrong. Now, Matt, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
So what I saw is I saw this store, and then I saw after this store, I saw the door open at the store, and there was like this. I don't know. It looked like a giant, I don't know, like a scene of not the store, but almost so picture like a giant television screen behind the door when you open it, and then water and things are rushing down, and there was light coming from it. So that's what I saw. I don't know. Okay. It doesn't make much sense.
No, it could be the Walmart that I went to after. It could have been the Walmart.
No, it didn't look like a store when I opened the door. It looked like water, and everything was melting, and it was light, like light from somewhere else. It looked like another dimension had opened up.
Interesting. Yes. So that is where I went. Ocean water. Some people black glass the water. Brad said man holding up a melon from the ground up. Very interesting.
I swear to God, I saw blue sky behind it. I saw when you were pointed up, that's what I saw. But it was silhouetted almost. I couldn't really tell details.
And Sam said, I was thinking about my stock investment. Well, if your stock investment was going up, hey, maybe that's a good one. All right. And
That's crazy.
P. Jean said, what did she say? The city was beige and white, so that's interesting. Yeah, it's very white. El Martino said, holy cow, I saw buildings with a canopy and some canopies in disarray. I wrote it down as old railroad tracks, thinking that they were no longer used. This is absolutely bizarre. Yeah, so what I was describing is there's this new tramway. They call it a train, but it's not a train at all. So there's no train tracks, but it's like, picture a train that you drive almost. It's really strange that they put this in here. But that is it. So let's move on now to Brad.
I don't think I was close, bro. I think I was fucking dead on. I'm telling you, it's weird. I'm weirded out by it right now.
Perfect. Okay, Brad, it's your reveal now. So if you want to share your screen, yeah, and I'll make sure I put it on for us.
Share screen.
And I'm gonna tell you, this is what I saw. And again, I'm more than happy to be completely wrong. I saw for Brad's, I saw a white box, exposed concrete, and a winding path with trees. That is what I saw.
All right.
So I could be completely wrong, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. Let me know when you are ready, and I will present that. I'll put that on for us.
Oh, I was going to see if everybody wanted to post stuff in the comments and stuff like that. I was just kind of giving them.
Good point. Yes. So we're on number 2, which was what was the number you gave it?
The number was 195840.
Perfect. All right. So P. Jean says power poles.
Yvonne, what did you just post that about this one or the last one? Yvonne.
I think it's this one.
Her name's Yvonne.
Oh,
Yvonne. Yeah. I saw desert. I saw a boy riding a red bike and a dog. Misty forest. Oak tree, green field was with mats. Okay, so Griffin Eagle. Mats is coming up. So don't jump the gun just yet. This one. So Yvonne was saying this one. So she saw a desert, a boy riding a red bike, and a dog.
Okay.
This one was nuts to me. I saw a cell tower hidden as a tree. Interesting. That's specific.
Yeah.
Tall trees, possibly pine trees, seeing everything from above as if I was flying. I was a bird over them. Okay. Brad's got this smile on his face. Let's do that reveal.
It's kind of like a fortune cookie. It can be interpreted anyway, right?
It really could. It really could.
All right, let me share. Let me present.
I saw a cross.
Ooh.
Okay. All right, big reveal.
Yeah, Matt, we're waiting for you. You got what you saw a cross?
A cross. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
so that's it.
Well,
yeah, cross angels.
I mean, I guess you could tie into it. My daughter loves those. My daughter loves those. By the way,
Mouse said, but she was pretty close, but a grove. So that's pretty interesting.
Okay.
There was an angel, Kyle. That's why I asked Yvonne which one, because I didn't know what she was talking about, if the first one or this one, because if she said angel, I purposely picked something that, and by the way, this was at a grocery store, Matt, and I purposely picked something that was had a different element to it. It wasn't just orange, it could be orange, it could be fruit, it could be an angel halo. So there was a bunch of different aspects.
So that's kind of actually,
so there was
kind
a
of funny.
religious
So we kind of have like an angel motif going on here.
Right. Yeah.
So you purposely picked something religious tied.
Not religious tied, no, just different. Like I was trying to have different elements to the image. It wasn't just one thing, like if somebody picked up on the halo, or if they picked up on a grove or like a tree or something like that, then they might have got like orange.
And I want everybody to know that I did not know what Brad was going to do. I did not know what Matt was going to do, and vice versa. We were all completely, and I should have stated that in the beginning, that our experiments were completely isolated. No one knew, only the person doing it. Okay. I did say trees.
Maybe a video.
That's a far reach. It's a far reach.
maybe a video would have been better, or like some kind of actionable thing.
Yeah, you know what? My wife told me to go make a video, and I didn't, like an idiot.
Hey, guys, it's all right. It's all right.
Mhm.
I think we can do something like this in the future again, and maybe do something else, do another remote viewing episode or something like that. But all right, so there we go. Diane, what did you guess? Because Diane said she was way off. I want to see what you guessed. Diane said a boy. Oh, Diane said a boy riding a red bike and a dog. Okay, yes. There we go. There we go. All I saw was wood poles and power lines. Hey, I think most of us were really off, though. I do want to say though that Halo and the angel, that's kind of crazy to kind of like this saintly kind of thing that was going on. Okay, so Matt, why don't you take this over? It is going to be your reveal, and so why don't you tell us the number again, and we'll get people to write what they saw. Okay.
Okay. Now, obviously, mine had big numbers with
Yeah.
it, so there was a lot with it. So it was a long set of numbers. As I'm sending this to myself, so that I can put it up for you guys real quick. Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
All right.
I'll read the number while you're doing that. Okay. So the number
Thank
was
you.
41, 10, 51, 80, 45, 58. So this is the third experiment. This is Matt's. I'd like you guys now to please write in the chat what you guys saw. Again, something could be something. Okay, so Lisa is saying a very large man-made tunnel on the side of a mountain. Ona is saying I saw underwater and a sonar. BJ
Wait, what
is
was
saying
the first one?
sorry, they're going so fast. Underwater in a snow
A very
very
what was
large man-made tunnel on the side of a mountain.
Okay. I thought you said man first.
Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
did at first. That's how I read it. Ona said, I saw underwater and sonar. BJ Lapierre says, Area 51, desert sand, small cacti. Oh, Mouse is saying from previously was the boy Brad, the boy on the red bike. Area 51, desert sand, small cacti. Brown wood, grain cane. Okay, that was Brad saying brown wood, grain cane. BJ was saying all she saw was water, slice of pepperoni pizza, storm drain. I see a bridge. Myself, I saw valley, leaves, diamond, sky, cotton candy. I don't know. That's just what came to me.
Okay.
Again, way off most likely, but here we go. Let's
Let
see.
me
Matt is going to show us what he saw. And again, if you guys are listening to this, and you guys can play along if you're listening to this, because this will be released on audio as well. If you come check out the videos, whether it is on Matt's channel, Planet 412, or Brad's, the Awaken podcast, or mine, Codex of Curiosities, you can just come and see the pictures that we are showing as well. Oh, ocular mouse. Okay, Bridget is saying yellow. Mouse was saying for Matt, I got a sign, 158th Street, a shoebox. El Martino, actual train tracks next to a water heel that looked like it went uphill and was actually downhill. Train. Other people are saying train. Little white dog. Matt, I saw the steel mills.
I'm not gonna make it that easy.
I was like, the steel mills is too obvious. Way
good
too
try,
obvious.
Yvonne.
Yeah.
All right, let me bring this up here.
Yeah, Ona, I agree. I like this game. If we did this more, I'm sure we get better. Okay, here we go. This is Matt. Oh,
this is the McKinley
Dude, what has he got
Memorial Library that is in. I was going through Niles, Ohio, and I was driving by. I'm like, oh my God, there's the President McKinley. He was from Niles, Ohio, and it was the McKinley Memorial, which is a really amazing place. And it inside's a huge library and stuff. But Rye, you said you saw the sky. It's open to the sky. Nobody really nailed it though. But when somebody, we both.
Wait a minute.
Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in on?
I said cane. He's got a fucking cane in his hand.
Oh, do you? Hold on.
I said a brown wood grain cane. So I don't know if that's what his real cane looked like, but I saw a cane.
Hold on. Let me see if I can. I don't.
Dude,
Just-
what the fuck? That's weird as shit.
Is
Yeah.
that better?
Just if you can keep like zooming in. Is there a way to zoom in a little bit more?
You know what? I think I might have a better picture. Hold on.
All right.
Let me see real quick.
That's it, Brad. Wow. It's coming out of left field here, way to go.
What, dude? That's weird as shit.
He does not. I don't think he has a cane.
Come on. Where's the cotton candy? Those lights look like cotton candy, everyone. That was my guess. I win. I got cotton candy.
I'm looking at all the pictures. Hold on. Oh, there's a better picture of him real quick on my phone. Let me look at him real quick.
Okay. And what is his name again?
President McKinley.
President McKinley.
Oh, no. Okay. Here. Let me bring this picture up. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back.
And where is this one located?
In Niles, Ohio. I was driving through there and I saw this. And I was like, oh my God, as I'm driving through Niles going back to Youngstown, I was like, oh my God, well, that's so awesome. Hold on, give me 1 second here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys see the screen actually?
So I pulled it up. He does not have, I don't think he has a
no, he doesn't. I was going to show you a really
he does not have a cane. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to show you guys a really close
That looks
picture.
like a cane, dude. I don't know,
no,
man.
there's not. So
no, it's a chair behind him. There's a
Ryan. I'm sending you. It'll probably be easier. Let me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
What's the name of that place again? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna share this right now.
McKinley Memorial in Niles, Ohio.
I got it all under control here.
Forward, right? I just sent you an amazing picture
so
of it.
It's a little thing here. It's a little pixelated, but you can see that.
Right. If you bring my picture up to you, I sent you. It's even better.
Okay. All right. Let's do this one.
It shows both sides. It's like right up on it, man.
All right. This was interesting. This was, I think it was fun. I don't know if you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys hit likes on every one of our shows, because that would be much
would be much appreciated for sure. We had a great group of people here tonight too.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, very fun, man. This was awesome. Now I'm worried about somebody coming and kicking down my door and shooting me in the middle of the night with a laser gun.
Yeah, exactly. Asking you to join up, right?
I hope they do.
Okay.
I hope they do.
Sorry, guys. All right, so we're gonna do add to stage. Is this the same? This is the picture you sent me. Actually, this is the same picture.
It is.
So
I sent you a different.
You sent me the same
one.
picture.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Here, I'm gonna send you the right one.
All right. Yeah.
I apologize.
Not a problem.
All right, here it is. I'm gonna send it to you again.
And this kind of shows that I didn't know what Matt's targets were, especially by you guys listening to my to my guesses. Valley, leaves. Hey, well, there's leaves everywhere. It was so obscure. I was thinking like leaves on the ground, but yeah. No, I hope you guys enjoyed this.
All right, Rye, I sent it.
All right, we're gonna do one last one. Oh yeah. This is a lot better. Okay, everyone, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share one more here. All right, so let me do one more here.
I bet if we had like a quiet place with a mask on and
we
some
do
other
better.
Stuff, yeah, very, very easily do better.
I picked a hard one,
Yeah.
boy. No, when the first person I thought you and I thought they said a big person. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Because that would have been really wild.
Definitely. All right, here we are. So
it looks
it's
like
a chair.
he is holding a cane.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
his
that
home
would
his
have been
pocket.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a chair in the background. Yeah. All
Look
right,
at
everyone.
here with
So
BJ
we,
saying,
for Brad, a popular item carried by McKinley supporters in 1896 was walking sticks or canes that featured images of the Republican nominee. Okay.
Pretty
There
cool.
you go. So there is a tie-in. This could be it. So, I hope everyone really enjoyed this. And Brad and Matt, I really appreciate you guys joining me for this. And why don't you guys give your channels a shout out once more before we call it a night?
Brad.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, man. Obviously, this is pretty cool. Thanks. I mean, you guys got huge audiences, so it's an honor to be in front of y'all's listeners and your viewers right now. So thank y'all for letting me be a part of this. You can find me at theawakenedpodcast.com. I just released an episode today with my good buddy Rye Voss. It's called Ancient America, and we tackle the relationship between the connection between the Grand Canyon and ancient Egypt. There's a pretty interesting conversation that we had, so you can go check that out. Also, yeah, if you guys don't mind, do me a favor. If you like the content, if you like some of the things I'm saying, do me a favor and give me a follow on Spotify and Apple, and also give me a 5-star review if you don't mind. That really helps the show out, helps the show grow. I always ask. I feel like I'm begging at this point. Please give me reviews, good reviews only. But yeah, you guys can check me out. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, but you guys can check me out at theawakenedpodcast.com. I got some buddies in the chat room right now. The guys from the Sunday Night Secret Society podcast and the 643 Double Play podcast. So shout out to Kyle and Hank. Thank you guys for joining us. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome.
And
Matt,
to everybody here, thank you so much for coming, and both of you guys, I love it. And Brad, we've done something before together. I know we have, so it's really awesome to have you again, brother. I'd love to do something. Actually, I'd love to collaborate with you sometime, my man.
Sure,
so everybody here, if you don't know, go over to Planet 412. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And I've been doing a lot of live streams lately. I took a little break. I needed to kind of rewind and refresh the brain. Stuff's coming. I got a lot of stuff about to start flowing out again. So sorry that I kind of had to take a little breather. Now it's about to flow, like I just said. A lot of good stuff coming up. And this summer, as I've been kind of teasing, we are going to some places. And that guy up there, right here, he's going to be monitoring the home base, as me and David Wolf from Exposing the Strange are going to be on location at haunted places, and we'll be having a great time. So that's going to be something new coming on the 412. And thanks for being here, everybody. Love you guys.
Awesome. And Matt, I'm putting you on the spot. You're coming out with audio soon, right?
Oh, I forgot to tell. So because of Rye, my man Rye, I was going to tell you before we got on, my first and second only audio versions are about to come out, guys. So Rye finally got me to do it. I'm going to have stuff coming out through Spreaker and Apple, and what else is on there? Spotify. So finally I've gotten with, doing what everybody else does. So if you don't like watching the videos, or you just want to listen to the 412 in your car and just listen through the speakers, that's coming too, everybody. And I can thank my buddy Rye Voss for making me do that.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciated you helping me out on this. And it went awesome. Went better than I expected it to. So thank you guys.
Anytime.
All right, everyone. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this. Very different live. I really wanted it to be interactive with you guys, the listeners, the viewers, and me as well, too. I wanted to play along. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure you hit that like, that subscribe. Like Brad was saying, and Matt, 5-star reviews on audio really does amazing things for us. And with that, everyone, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home.
Beneath the stars where shadows grow, the Nephilim's echoes whisper low. Bigfoot roams through the forest deep, and Dogman prowls where the brave won't sleep. Across lost history we wonder why, seeking the truth that time tried to hide. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies. Aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks. In the void of secrets, a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies. Aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks. In the void of secrets, a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. Legends rise from the Earth's deep core, a lost legacy we can't ignore. With every step, the veil grows thin, revealing worlds where the strange begins. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back